Well, good morning, y'all. All right, back to the subject of amateur radio. And this is specifically geared toward those of y'all that are new to the hobby. Or maybe you have gotten your license, maybe you haven't yet, but you're just getting started. And I would like to encourage those of you that have been around for a while, some thoughts here to think about. We in the amateur radio service have an operating event, fourth weekend of June. This year, it's, let me see the date, June 26th and 27th, that weekend of 2021. It's called Field Day. The purpose of Field Day, it is not a routine contest, but rather an operating event designed to train amateurs to operate under adverse operating conditions. The thought behind this is, supposing there is some sort of emergency, a tornado, an earthquake, a big storm, something big is going on. Practice operating, learn then where your skill sets are and how we can improve upon them. That is the thought. For those of you new to the hobby, what you will see is many amateur radio clubs throughout the country, and this is primarily an American and operating event, although hams from all over the world will participate. A lot of Canadians, a lot of Mexicans. I've also worked many European stations during the event, although the European stations have a hard time with the exchange because it's not geared toward their part of the world. All right, so what you will see is many clubs will get together, say at a local park or something like that, a portable event. A lot of guys will bring out their campers, set up a portable tower, portable antennas, bring their equipment out, bring out their generators, gasoline, and of course food is a big part of this. Normally one or two people will get the job of manning the grill. Brats, pork steaks, burgers, hot dogs, things like that. Food, of course, is tantamount to everything, church events and all that too. So, but we love to eat and socialize, so that's all part of the ritual. All right, the objective, of course, is to get the station on the air and make as many contacts as humanly possible. You will see largely two stations, at least two on the air. One will be geared toward what is known as CW, the Morse code station. The other is going to be the sideband, or the voice station. Although with the advent of computers coming into the hobby, there are a lot of digital modes going on now. So you may see a station geared toward FT8, JT65, etc. Although the CW and sideband stations are the most prevalent. All right, so there are largely, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 operating categories. Okay. The first one is the A category. This is for a club or a non-club portable station with 3 or more people operating in this. There's also a subcategory here for an A station that runs exclusively off of batteries. However, this subcategory is regulated to 5 watts or less power output. You're going to find it difficult to find guys that want to run low power like that. Next one is B, or Bravo as we call it, B stations. This is a 1 or 2 person portable. Either you or you and a buddy decide to go out to the park or out to a little campground or what have you and set up a portable station. And there is also a B battery station where is same as the A battery, 5 watts or less. Then we have the C category, mobile, operating the station out of your vehicle. And we have D, the home station, where you're plugged into the wall socket using power from the house, commercial mains. There's a fair amount of stations that do this. You know, say a big storm or something blows up, but you still have electric. That's the thought behind that. Then there's the E category, home power, but running from emergency means. You fired up the generator, either the gas generator or the solar generator. You're operating from a deep cycle marine battery, etc. The equipment is not run off power from the house. The computer can be, but the radio has to be run from a non-commercial source. Okay. And then the F category, you're operating from an EOC, an Emergency Operations Center. Red Cross, Sheriff's Department, Firehouse, some sort of governmental facility, that sort of thing. If I remember correctly, with an F station, you can run off of their commercial mains. However, most of these stations will have, firehouses, etc., will have a generator in case they lose power. And if I remember the rules correctly, the generator does have to be tested during the operating event for this to be valid. Now, there are several ways to score it, for points, and I haven't listed all of them. But you get extra points here, of course, for running 100% emergency power. The generator, batteries, your solar generator, your gas generator, etc. And with the A and B stations, you're doing just that. You've got generators out at the site, and you're running not with the commercial power at the park, but you're running off of generator power. Now, if you're running batteries, deep cycle marine batteries, the batteries must be charged with something other than commercial mains. You hooked them up to the solar panel, your solar generator, etc., to charge the batteries. And they can be recharged while you're at the operating event. But again, it cannot be charged by commercial mains. That defeats the purpose. Something I did with the local club years ago, and I'll give you the reasons behind it. I convinced them a few years ago to run all the radio equipment off of 12-volt marine batteries. And most rigs will do that. You know, they run off of 12 volts, but then they'll have an external power supply, that plugs into a 110-volt wall socket. Okay, I told these guys, I said, okay, envision this. We have a big-time SHTF event. Earthquake, tornado, something. And we have no access to gasoline. How are you going to run your generator without gasoline? You can't get down to the filling station to get more gas. The generator is going to run out of fuel. What do? I always envisioned, in my part of Illinois, we were 160, 180 miles from the epicenter of the New Madrid Fault. And if any of you have watched some of the scientists talk about that, when that thing erupts, and it's not a question of if, but when that thing decides to erupt again, it's going to be a dandy. Many of them are predicting when it finally hits will be, I'm seeing anywhere from a 7.8 to about an 8.2, and that will be catastrophic. And again, not if, but when. The last big one was 1811, 1812. Changed the course of the Mississippi River for a little bit, made it run backwards a little bit. Imagine all the bridges, even the ones crossing the little creeks, going up and down the interstate, that thing will take out. Between New Madrid, Missouri, and St. Louis, I count how many bridges. There's one at Sykeston, there's one at Cape Girardeau, there's one at Perryville. Then you go another 80 miles to get to St. Louis. Okay, there's 3 bridges right there. Then you come up to St. Louis. You've got Jefferson Barracks, Poplar Street, Martin Luther King, McKinley, Lewis and Clark. That's 5 of them right there in the St. Louis Metro, that all have the potential of going down. Not to mention the regular road damage that could occur. Okay, so if you can even get to the filling station, who's to say they're going to have electric for the pumps to get the fuel out? And not like the old days where they had a hand pump that would force feed it up into a little tank on top, and then you get your gasoline that way. Aside from that, if an event like that were to occur, I can see local municipalities commandeering that fuel and saying we're going to use the diesel fuel for the generators, for the fire trucks, for the ambulances, and we're going to commandeer the gasoline for the police cars, the gas-powered ambulances, etc. Basically leaving everybody else high and dry. What do? You're going to have nothing for your own generator? What do? And it's not just New Madrid. There's one that runs down in the Wabash Valley between Indiana and Ohio. Then there's 2 out on the West Coast. There's San Andreas and Cascadia. Cascadia is in the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Washington. San Andreas, of course, is down in California. Do some research too on just how severe the 1906 San Francisco quake was. Media of the day covered that up pretty big to make it seem less severe than it really was. That was catastrophic, and imagine how times have changed since that hit in 1906, and what that will do now with all the natural gas lines, the electric grid in that area. Besides, all of you have seen how many problems we have with our grid right now anyway. The winter storm in Texas that hit a few months back. The gasoline pipeline that runs out of Texas up into the Northeast. So we know these problems are there. So this to me is the perfect prepping event to gear up for just such an event. Operate the equipment off the deep cycle marine batteries. Have your solar panels, etc., and be ready to go. Aside from that, if we do go into an SHTF event, how many of us are really going to feel like hauling our camper out to the field day site, setting up the camper, setting up a big tower, etc., just to be able to have some air conditioning? I think it's going to be a little too chaotic for that. Personal opinion. I may be wrong. Some of what I anticipated with the onset of the global sicknesses has been a little wrong. I expected to see run-ups on things like gasoline, food, water, even alcohol. If we're going to be hunkered down at home for a while, some folks like to have a little something to help simmer the nerves. What I did not anticipate was the run-up on teepee. People at my local Walmart were fist fighting. Police were there several times. People literally fist fighting over teepee. So, something to think about. I will put a link in the description here of the field day sites that are already scheduled, set up to operate this year. That way you can search it for one close to you if you want to go check it out this year. Be a good chance for you to get out and meet some members of the local amateur radio club. Talk to these people that have been around the hobby for a long time. Get your feet wet like that. And a lot of these folks then can help you study for your ticket. Any questions you've got people right there that can help you through. All right, hope I answered some questions here, y'all. Something to think about. It's coming up next month. So with that, see you later.